Welcome to Instructions Not Included, the podcast where we delve into heartfelt journeys of entrepreneurs, family owned businesses, and inspiring individuals making a difference. Today, we're honored to welcome a special guest, Marquis Hill, the visionary behind Love Yourself. Marquis is not only the creator of this incredible brand, but also a speaker and author, inspiring others to embrace self-love and mental health. Marquis, thank you for joining us. So you've been an entrepreneur even prior to the Love Yourself.
Yes,
So you
sir.
just had that mindset. What caused you to develop that mindset?
For me, sports was my life. In third grade, I started playing basketball, played a little bit of football in elementary school. But when I moved to Georgia, basically basketball, that's what I did full time. Like outside of school, it was just me, my ball, and a dream. In the summer of my eighth grade year, I learned that I had a heart condition called a heart murmur. The doctor told me I had some holes in my heart, allowing blood to go to places it didn't need to go, and I would have to give these holes time to heal. The healing process didn't go as planned. I couldn't play basketball at the level I wanted to. This was my goal. This was the one thing that I was working towards every single day. And nobody could tell me at that age I wasn't going to make it. I didn't want to talk to anybody because my biggest dream and passion I felt was snatched from me.
Mhm.
But I just remember my pops, he had told me I could either sit and dwell in what happened to me or I could pick myself up and make a pivot.
Mhm.
And that really stuck with me. And I think for me, that was just a big mindset switch that I needed in that moment because at the time, I only really saw myself as an athlete.
Mhm.
But when my pops gave me just that piece of advice, when I looked in the mirror, I saw myself as more.
So you were an author prior to the brand, or was this something
Sir.
later down the line?
So I was an author at 15. That's when
Okay.
I wrote my very first book called You Have Genius Ability Within You.
Mm.
And that was just my introduction to writing. I wanted to create a daily motivational read to give people something to wake up to go to sleep to, but just to get their day started off right. And even when it came to my new book, Love Yourself More Today, I published that January 1st, 2024. Basically, I kept the same theme of a daily read, but in this case, I tailored the messages more focused towards self-love and mental health, just prioritizing it and putting that at the forefront. It's shorter days in terms of the message, and it also creates just that space in that room for reflection as well. So, like on some of the days, they'll have activities, and you get a chance to write and journal within the book. And then every 7 days, there is a mental health check in. I wanted it to be very interactive. Another key piece of it, every single day comes with a QR code, and they can scan that. And I made a whole YouTube series for the book as well just because I know people digest information and messages differently. So
Mhm.
like whether you like to read or whether you like learn better as you're reflecting or whether you want to watch a video, I have all those different aspects implemented into the book. It's something that's simple that you can do. And the questions are tailored for anybody. But yes, before I had started my business and did pretty much my brands, I did have my book as well.
That's awesome. Where can we find your
Mhm.
books right now?
For sure. So I sell my book through my website, loveyourself.shop, LOVEYASELF.shop. I also have like the ebook copy available. Audio book will be dropping soon. And I also sell my book on Amazon as well. So if you do want to go through Amazon, it's available on there. All you have to do is look up Love Yourself More Today by Marquis Hill.
Tell us a little bit about your junior year, you coming up with this idea.
Yes, sir. So my junior year, it was 2022. My high school experience was a little different. My freshman year of high school, that's when COVID had happened. We were forced to, go home. And I remember after the first year, they started to allow people to go back to school. I made the decision to stay home. And I remember one day I had posted this picture. My caption was Love Yourself. And I spelled it just like that, LOVEYASELF. And everybody in the comments just kept repeating it, love yourself, love yourself. And I was like, I'm gonna put that on a shirt. At my pop-up shop the next day, at the time we were at Underground Atlanta. people started to connect with it. It started off with just to love yourself straight across the chest.
Okay.
And people would come up like, love yourself. I like that. I reached out to a graphic designer and basically gave him the vision of creating Love Yourself Within a Heart. And this is what was birthed out of it. The Love Yourself Heart, that's been my staple ever since. And my biggest mission with my brand is really just giving people that outlet to express that message of self love and a way I spoke without saying a single word. So my brand has really been that for myself and for so many others that have supported it over the years, just that outlet to express that self love message as well.
It's easier to down ourselves than it is to uplift ourselves. So
Yup.
I love the message behind it. The design is amazing. I'm for all of that. When I first saw it, I was blown away.
Yes,
I
sir.
was like, okay, this is something I can see myself wearing on a daily basis.
Mhm.
You know, the brand, it speaks a lot of value from the shirts to the hats,
Yes,
the
sir.
shoes.
Yep.
So so just seeing the product that you offer, I definitely can see people wearing it, but I also embrace the movement behind it. How do you connect with your community
Mhm.
through the Love Yourself and its brand?
The one thing that has allowed me to grow and to build a real connection with the people, it's I show up for them and they show up for me. And I think that's always been one thing that I keep at the forefront. I could go online and that could be where I put all my energy and focus. But I feel like for me and my foundation, building and laying those bricks, me going outside and me being able to have those conversations and for them to be able to hear the passion and the authenticity behind my voice and why I'm pushing this message and why it's real to me, I feel like that has been one thing that's just allowed others to connect with the brand on a deeper level, right? When we think about a lot of brands that we wear, it's not necessarily that we can't get the product from anywhere else.
Mhm.
It's more so the story that was told behind it. It was the messaging of it. It was the people that they put in it whose stories we admired and connected with. And for me, I feel like when it just came to connecting with my community, it was my job to put myself out there to get uncomfortable because when it came to talking to people and interacting with others on a daily basis, when I first got started, that wasn't something I was naturally used to.
Right.
Like my first pop-up shop, it was basically a whole bunch of people walking past, and I didn't have the courage or
Mhm.
the confidence to ask them, "Excuse me, can I tell you about my business?" And I remember that feeling. And I remember me being 14 years old, 15 years old, being so afraid to voice my story
Mhm.
and to tell the people why I was doing what I was doing because of the fear of rejection and the fear of being embarrassed or stuttering or not necessarily knowing what to say. But I feel like the more I showed up and the more I practiced, the more I tried, the more reps I put up, it just allowed me to get more and more comfortable and confident and just telling people truly why I do what I do. And I think that's the basis of it all. It's so much bigger than just the product.
Mhm.
It's truly about the story that's told behind it and the real mission and the community that's built. And I feel like for me, that's what's really allowed me to connect with my community the most is just really letting them know why this is true to me. And then also showing them that I'm willing to go to war for my brand.
That's what's up.
It's very rare that you'll go on my social media and you don't see me at an event. You don't see me, you know, pouring into whether it's the youth, whether it's very rare that you won't see me pushing my mission. And I think that's one thing that people can support is somebody who believes in what they're building. And
Yeah.
that's one thing I always try to remind myself. I have to keep showing up for them because they support me and believing in me.
So, what advice would you give to a young entrepreneur
Mhm.
who wants to build a brand that reflects their personal journey?
I think self-awareness is the key for any entrepreneur or any creative. What works for me may not work for you, and that's what I always tell other young entrepreneurs that will ask, "Well, how did you get started?"
Mhm.
How I got started and how my journey went is unique to me. When you get started, there may be some things that are more natural to you that weren't natural to me, certain routes that you should take that maybe I didn't take. And I feel like that all comes down to just self awareness. You have to really ask yourself, who are you? So the journey of me with doing pop up shops, although I wasn't necessarily as confident speaking and getting outside of my comfort zone to pretty much put myself out there in that way, I knew that I was capable of that.
Okay.
I feel like there's a difference between something that you are fearful of and something that you are incapable of. And I think that's two things that I always try my best to pretty much reflect on within myself. Is this something that just isn't authentic to me, or is this something I'm afraid of doing in fear of X?
Mm,
And I think for me, like that's one of the biggest things that I like to challenge young entrepreneurs with is if you do want to start this journey, first you got to ask yourself why. Then you got to ask yourself, how do you want to go about it? Because some people have just a gift, a natural instinct, whether it's marketing, whether it's social media. Some people have a natural gift of gab, so pop-up shops be perfect for them. But some people know how to create YouTube videos, TikToks, IG Reels better than anybody else. You should focus all your time and energy on social media. You would be much more productive if you did give more of your time and energy online.
okay.
So I just feel like self-awareness is the key to any entrepreneur, especially if you want to be successful, not to the world, but within yourself. If you are doing something that you love, it doesn't feel like work. It's gonna feel like
No.
a lot of effort at times, and sometimes it can get overwhelming. But when it's true to you and it's naturally a part of who you are, and you're like, I love this, I feel like the energy that you give to it is different. And I want to make clear that even if it's uncomfortable, you have to ask yourself the question, am I incapable or am I just afraid of this in fear of rejection or in fear of failure? Because if that's the only roadblock in your way, that's a mental battle that you will have to face along your entrepreneurial journey
I
to
love
take
it.
that next step forward.
I love it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the way to you got to remove those barriers.
Yes, sir.
What's been the most rewarding moment for you throughout this journey so far?
There is one that, just stuck out to me a whole lot. There was a speech that I had in California. It was in Santa Barbara. And at the end of my speech, we were doing a Q&A session. And this girl, her name was Sterling, and Starling, actually. And basically, she didn't even have a question. She was just like, what's ironic is even though you had holes in your heart, you have one of the fullest hearts I've ever seen.
Mm,
And, for me, that moment, like she gave me a hug. She was just so, she showed so much love and so much gratitude. And I think for me, it was like, that's my only goal in what I do is to give my heart, to give it fully, to give it everything I got. And hopefully it can be inspiring to the person watching. Hopefully it can add some value to the person on the other end.
mhm.
Whether that's me selling a hoodie, whether it's me giving a talk, whether it's just conversation one on one, right? This podcast, like hopefully it can touch somebody in a way that can help them move forward and take that next step in their journey. There's just been so many different moments along my journey when it comes to the brand. It makes my day when I'm outside and I may see somebody rocking the brand that I don't know, right?
Right, right.
Or that has supported me at a pop-up shop, or even stories of people connecting with others
Mhm.
that they never knew in their life, but they made that connection through the brand. There was this teacher, I do a entrepreneurship pretty much workshop class at a elementary school in this area.
Okay.
And basically, one of the teachers there, she supported me. She's gotten a hoodie before. She told me this story when she went out. She was at the Cheesecake Factory and she saw this girl with one of my hoodies on. And she walked up to her. She talked to her like, "Oh my goodness, we have the same hoodie. Do you know Marquis?" Da, 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 da. And they had a whole interaction. They had a whole moment together off of the brand, off of
That's
a
awesome.
real mission. They never met each other. They probably would have never talked to each other, without that. And I think for me, just moments like that mean the world to me. And also, especially when it comes to speaking, I've received just countless messages and, people, whether they see me in real life or whether it's just a DM on social media, just people being open with me and transparent and just how maybe one of my talks has just helped them along their journey. And I value all of that. For me, I always look at myself as a vessel. And my only goal is just to show up and to give my heart to what I do. And hopefully it can help somebody on the other end of that. So it's so many moments along my journey that's just been so rewarding. And I'm grateful for every conversation I've had, every person I've met, and every experience that I've got to do as well.
You're a speaker,
Mhm.
you're an author. You have so many different demands as it comes to entrepreneurship,
Yes, sir.
right? How do you balance that with your self care as well?
I think for me along my journey, it's just been a lot of trial and error. And also giving myself space to be human, right? I'm not a machine. And that's one thing I had to tell myself and even remind myself at times. Although I do pride myself on working hard and I will put the time and effort and energy in no matter what it takes to get the outcome that I desire, I also have to remind myself that, bro, you're human.
Mhm.
And there's got to be times that you mess up or you fall short or you're not as prepared as you know you should be or you're not as on top of things as you would like to be. And that's a part of the journey too.
Yeah,
I used to be very hard on myself, and even I have to catch myself sometimes, even now along my journey. It's like you have to give yourself that grace and you have to give yourself that room to fail, to mess up, to make mistakes because everybody that you admire, that you think has it all together, is dealing with the same thing you're dealing with. They had to go through this same season in their life, but you don't see that. You see their wins and you see the outcome, you see the results. So along your journey, don't overjudge yourself and tear yourself down every time you make a mistake because you feel like you should be this perfect well-oiled machine that wakes up ready to conquer the world every day.
right.
I'm human just like everybody else. And I think for me, that time alone, that time to yourself, that time to take your mind off of business in a sense is much needed, just to tap back into you, to go and whether your outlet is, listening to music, playing sports, doing something with your family, like whatever it looks like. Just creating that time, I feel is such an important part of the process as well. Because regardless of what you do in business, regardless of how much money you make, regardless of how many opportunities you gather, nothing can flow in your journey if you're not well mentally, physically, and you're not taking care of yourself.
Right, right,
Everything gets put on pause if you're not well. So make sure that you take that time for you, even if it's only 30 minutes to an hour out of your day. Make that commitment to yourself. And that's one thing I stand on as well. Loving yourself is a real commitment. We make commitments to everything else. We make commitments to our job. We make commitments to our business. We make commitments to people. We make commitments to friendships, relationships. But you have to ask yourself, have you made a commitment to you? And that was a real question I had to ask myself. Are you making a commitment to you to show up for you today, to pour into you today? Before you pour into anybody else, before you get online and you post a motivational video, have you checked in with yourself? Where are you right now? And I think for me, that's pretty much how I've been just learning to balance my journey with so many different hats and so many things to juggle. It's so important just to slow down, to reflect, to take that time for you, and then we get back to business because it has to get handled.
How do you see your brand evolving in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, my brand is going to be a big resource to fund a lot of initiatives that I truly believe in. When it comes to the designs, the products, my brand is gonna continue to evolve in that regard. But one thing I'm really excited about through my book, through the close as well, is basically us taking proceeds from the merchandise from our profits and pouring into nonprofits and pouring into initiatives that are really tackling that problem, tackling the crisis of, mental illness and suicide prevention and, just that lack of self-confidence and self-love within the youth and all people. But for me, I see my brand, of course, blowing up in popularity, but bigger than that, it's not gonna just be a cool piece of clothing that you wear. No, we're actually in the community doing work for the people. And that's how I know our brand is gonna just create such a major impact. As we continue to grow and more people support us globally, we're gonna support the missions that have really been the foundation of why I started doing what I'm doing. My biggest goal wasn't to become a millionaire off of clothing. No, I started my brand because for me, I struggled with self love. I struggled with self confidence. I know what it feels like to be battling something and to feel alone. I know what it feels like to be suffering in silence and not feel like you have an outlet or not feel like you have a community of people that's actually there for you, supporting you. So when it comes to that message, it's something that's real to me. So regardless of the popularity of it, really doing the work, really in the schools and the communities around the world, that's my biggest goal for the brand in the next 5 years.
What's a fun, surprising fact that most people don't know about Marquis?
One surprising fact that people don't know about Marquise, I play the saxophone and I'm fairly
What?
good at it. And it's crazy. There is another gentleman by the name of Marquis Hill. He's actually in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, which was crazy because I was born in Chicago. He's born in Chicago. His name's Marquis Hill. He plays the trumpet though, and he's nice.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he's really good. So I had a random thought, pretty much like last year. I think about it like here and there. I'm like, one day I'm gonna do a concert with Marquis. And I've never met the dude. I've only like watched YouTube videos of him and stuff like that. But I'm like, it would be so dope for me to get on stage with my sax and for him to get on stage with his trumpet and we rock out since we got the same name. But no, I really love
It's gonna
music.
happen.
It's gonna happen. And that's just gonna be just like a core memory, right? I stick with. But yeah, I've been playing saxophone since I was in elementary school. It's a real passion of mine and something that I really enjoy doing on my free time and on my off time. And definitely got a real love for music for sure.
This has been awesome, man. I really appreciate you stopping in and giving us a little bit of your time. But before we get out of here, tell our listeners one
Mhm.
more time where they can find your brand and where they can actually get your books
Mhm.
and learn more about you.
My first website, this is for my brand. That'll be loveyourself.shop. That's LOVEYASELF.shop. And if you want to book me to speak or to be a part of your event, you can go to my website, realmjhill.com. That's REALMJHILL.com. And my social media across all platforms is Real MJ Hill. And that's on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, basically every platform that you can think of. That is going to be the username to find me. But no, I really appreciate you just creating this platform and really giving me the space to tell my story as well. Definitely something that I feel like we just need a whole lot more of, and I love the name of the podcast as well because I feel like this is life, right? Like, it's when you're born, instructions are not included,
Exactly.
and it's like, as much as we can learn from our parents or from our guardian, whoever raised us along our journey, they were only given what they knew. So it's like we don't have a roadmap all the time. But one thing I truly believe in is, although you may not have a roadmap, you still go find your way.
You're gonna find
Although
it.
although you don't have a blueprint, you still go build something special. And instructions not included. I feel like that's just a really dope name for the
I
podcast, man. It
appreciate it.
represents life right there.
I appreciate it. Well,
Yes, sir.
thanks for joining us, man. We look forward to seeing more from you. And to our listeners, our viewers out there, we just want to thank you as well for joining us today. It's been an inspiring conversation. So once again, from Instructions Not Included, a Sweet Face Scans production. So we want to thank
Sweet Face, baby.
That's dope.
Life doesn't come with a way to go. It doesn't come with a manual. Yeah, you can search, I swear it ain't nothing like Jay-Z, the blueprint.